Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Vihari Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Ramadhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Nandana Vraja Janaranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Manachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Nandana Vraja Janaranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Mandachari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Everybody with enthusiasm. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namo Vishnupad Paramahamsa Prabhupada Saraswata His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Ananta Kopti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shama Sundar Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Vrindavan Dham Mathura Dham Ki Jai Navadvip Dham Mayapur Dham Ki Jai Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai Ganga Maya Ki Jai Yamuna Maya Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Hare Krishna Mahamantra Ki Jai Hare Nama Sankirtan Ki Jai Book Distribution Ki Jai Prasad Distribution Ki Jai Gaur Premanande All glories to the assembled devotees Hare Krishna All glories to the assembled devotees Hare Krishna All glories to the assembled devotees Hare Krishna All glories to the lotus feet of Shri Shri Guru Angara Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya The text today is from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 51, verses 20 and 21. Varam virnishva bhadraante Ritikaivalyam adyanaham Eka eveshvarastasya Bhagavan Vishnur Avyayaha Varam Virnishva Vadram Te Ritikaivalyam adyanaham Eka eveshvaratasya Bhagavan Vishnur Avyayaha Varam Virnishva Bhadrante Ritikaivalyam adyanaham Eka eveshvaratasya Bhagavan Vishnur Avyayaha. Devotees, please. Varam Virnishva Vadrante Ritikaivalyam adyanaham Eka eveshvarastasya Bhagavan Vishnur Avyayaha. Varam Virnishva Bhadrante Ritikaivalyam adyanaham Eka eveshvarastasya Bhagavan Vishnur Avyayaha. Anybody else? Varam, a benediction. Pranishva, choose. Bhadram, all good. Te, unto you. Rite, accept. Kaivalyam, liberation. Adya, today. Naha, from us. Ekaha, one. Eva, only. Ishvaraha, capable. Tasya, of that. Bhagavan, the Supreme Lord. Vishnu, Shri Vishnu. Avyayaha, the inexhaustible. Translation. There is no purport to this verse. All good fortune to you. Now please choose a benediction from us. That's the demigod speaking to Muchukunda. Anything but liberation, since only the infallible Supreme Lord, Vishnu, can bestow that. Please repeat. All good fortune to you. Now please choose a benediction from us. Anything but liberation, since only the infallible Supreme Lord, Vishnu, can bestow that. So we'll go to the next verse, 21. And this one has a purport. Ekam ukta savaidevan abhivandya mahayasha ashayishta guhavishto nidraya devadataya. Translation. Addressed that, King Muchukunda took his respectful leave of the demigods and went to a cave where he lay down to enjoy the sleep they had granted him. Purport. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur gives the following lines from an alternate reading of this chapter. These lines are to be inserted between the two halves of this verse, and they are as follows. Nidram eva tato vavre sa raja shrama karshitaha yakaschin mama nidraya bhangam kuryat surotamaha sahi bhasmi bhaved ashu tatoktas cha surastada swapam yatam yumadyetu bodhayet tvam achetanaha satvaya drishtamatrastu vasmi bhavatu tat kshanat. translation of these lines from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. This means the king, exhausted by his labor, then chose sleep as his benediction. He further stated, O best of the demigods, may whoever disturbs my sleep immediately be burned to ashes. The demigods replied, so be it, and told him, that insensitive person who wakes you in the middle of your sleep will immediately turn to ashes simply by your seeing him. Chakshur Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manustam Stapatanya Tale Swayam Karamahtatam Swata. E Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabando Jagatpati Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishavanu Sitedevi Pranamami Hari Vanchakalpataruviyascha Kripa Sindhuvyavacha Patitanam Pavanevyo Vaishnavevyo Namo Namaha. Vanchak Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivas Adi Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So let's see what the commentaries by the previous acharyas are telling us. The previous verse, all good fortune to you. Now please choose a benediction from us. Thus again the demigod speaking to King Muchukunda for having helped them fight the demons. Anything but liberation, since only the infallible Supreme Lord Vishnu can bestow that. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, only Vishnu can grant that liberation, tasya. And of course, liberation can mean so many different things. Liberation can mean to be liberated from the material existence. The liberation can mean to be liberated from the understanding that we are the body, the understanding and the concomitant factors that follow understanding that we are the body. So to be liberated from that mindset is also called liberation. Liberation is also to be taken out of the world of suffering. And liberation means to be a servant of the Supreme Lord, to be liberated from any other encumbrances that tie us to this conception that we are who we are not, and be understanding very clearly and realizing it very clearly, so that we are not matter, but we are divine beings. We are spirit souls. We are part and parcel of the Supreme, eternally connected, and totally dependent upon the Supreme Lord. And that our proper position is to render service, and this service is to be done willfully, willingly, with enthusiasm, out of love and affection for the Supreme Lord. It's very wonderful, very wonderful. So this is the top level of liberation. This is real liberation, not any one of the other ones that were presented. They're all different levels of liberation, so to speak. So Jiva Goswami says, good fortune to you. This is their general blessing. Ask a boon. This is their particular blessing. Kevalya means freedom from samsara, an attainment of the spiritual world. Vishnu is the only person capable of bestowing it, this liberation, since he is endowed with all powers. He's Bhagavan. He's inexhaustible, even though he's giving benedictions to unlimited people. It doesn't matter how many benedictions, endless benedictions the Supreme Lord is giving to all living entities, he's still inexhaustible. It's a fountain that keeps giving and giving and giving. He's not like us, who have very little power. We become weak by doing austerities, and he becomes stronger by giving benedictions from an inexhaustible source, which is himself. Sanatana Goswami says, "Good fortune. They say this because they were very pleased with him." As the demigods being happy that King Muchukunda took their side and fought with them. For I think it was a cycle of 4 yugas and a half. So that means thousands and hundreds of thousands of years on the Earth planet that would have been on the Earth planet. Or everything is auspicious for you. Now ask for a boon, or ask for some auspicious boon except for liberation or exclusive devotion to the Lord. Who can give liberation and who can give exclusive devotion to the Lord? Only the Lord himself. But how? Through his representatives. Only the Lord endowed with all powers can give this. Or he is the master. He can give himself as a master. Liberation depends on him. By giving himself, he's not depleted. We saw that he's inexhaustible. Since he's spread inside and outside, Vishnu, that's the meaning of the word Vishnu, he has the power to bestow such a condition of being everywhere. He, the Supreme Lord, can give liberation. And for 21, the purport, I read it. I'll read the verse again. Addressed thus, King Muchukunda took his respectful leave of the demigods and went to a cave where he lay down to enjoy the sleep they had granted him. And we will see in the verses that come, this very long chapter, how he meets the Supreme Lord and how he prays beautiful prayers to the Supreme Lord. And that will be coming in the following days. So Srila Jiva Goswami writes, he's called famous because of the following. What use are the devatas if only Vishnu can bestow the spiritual world? I do not want to see others. I should sleep alone near Mathura, dear to the Lord, until I can see the Lord. So that was the purpose. The purpose that he was waiting for the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna to appear in this world. So he wanted to be close to Mathura and wait for the Supreme Lord to come so he could have darshan of Krishna. This is the reason for everything. Everything is very beautifully, meticulously organized. Therefore, I will ask for the benediction of sleep. For this reason, his fame was spread everywhere. With permission granted by the devatas, he lay in the cave. This cave is well known. It is situated in a mountain of Dhavalapura, south of Mathura district. In Varaha Purana, in describing Parikram of Mathura, it is said to be situated within Mathura. So it's very close to Mathura, or according to the Varaha Purana, it is within Mathura. There is a temple made to resemble the cave there, similar to the cave of Yashoda. So this is the beginning of a very, very special pastime that the Supreme Lord enjoys with this devotee of his, because King Muchukunda had been a devotee of the Supreme before, and when he finally got some rest after fighting with the demigods for a long period of time, he wanted to be in a position where he could have the darshan of the Supreme Lord. So it's very, very inspirational for us to hear that not only he wants to rest, but he's waiting for the Supreme Lord to come so he can have his association. And the Supreme Lord is so pleased with him that he wants to give him his association and more. So I'm going to talk about a couple of things. One of the things is the situation with the benedictions from the devatas. The devatas are giving benedictions, and in the Vedic culture and in the Hindu culture, Indian culture, there is a great emphasis placed on praying to the demigods for benedictions. People may not be so aware of who is the Supreme. Some people may think that Durga is the supreme, or Ganesh is the supreme, or Lord Shiva is the supreme, but nevertheless, they know that they can get benedictions from them. And the benedictions they can get from the demigods are benedictions like, cure my uncle, or give me wealth, or give me knowledge and intelligence, or give me good children. These are all material benedictions. And these benedictions will keep us bound to the world of matter. So the demigods have only this capacity, this ability. But who has given them this ability to give benedictions that come true? But the Supreme Lord. Only the Supreme Lord is the one who is enabling them to give the benedictions. There are some residue or remnants of that, especially in other traditions. I was brought up in the Catholic Church. And in the Catholic Church, instead of demigods, they have saints. And there are saints who are also given benedictions. So maybe somebody may pray to Saint Lucy, to get good sight, or Saint Christopher to give a good standing on the road so that one can be safe, no traffic accidents, or Saint Joseph, praying to Saint Joseph for a good death. So these things are still like residual, but not in the form of demigod worship, and not so much for very gross material benedictions, but more like subtle benedictions of benefiting somebody with health or with understanding, etc. So I'm going to read something that Srila Prabhupada says in one of his classes. And there are a number of verses in the Bhagavad Gita where Krishna is making it very clear that people of lesser intelligence worship the demigods, because the demigods are given benedictions which are temporary. And we're not temporary, we're eternal beings. So we don't need those benedictions. We need the benediction of having the association of the pure devotees and having the association of the Supreme Lord. So let me read that Prabhupada says in a class. It's a lecture from the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4, verse 12, given in Mumbai on April 1st, 1974. So that is explained in the Bhagavad Gita. The demigod worship is also my worship, but that is avidi purvakam. That is not the vidi. Vidi is to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But sometimes, just like we give some reward to the doorman to enter into the room of a great office, similarly, demigod worship means to get the result very quickly, and it's a material result. And we may ask any type of benefits and reward from the demigods. Tad bhavati alpa medasam. That will be explained in the 7th chapter. So demigod worship may bring quickly the resultant action, desired result, but antavat tu palam desham. This is from 723. And this verse reads, men of small intelligence worship the demigods, and their fruits are limited and temporary. Those who worship the demigods go to the planets of the demigods, but my devotees ultimately reach my supreme planet. The result is antavat, it is limited. But bhakti is not limited. Bhakti is unlimited. Swapam apyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. But people, tad bhavat yalpa medasam, those who are less intelligent, instead of worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they worship the demigods. In other words, we can worship the demigods for material benefits, or we can worship Krishna for material benefits. And we will see the verse. Kankshataha karmanam siddhim yajanta iha devataha Therefore, people are more interested in worshiping demigods than Krishna. The demigods in India, especially, we will find there are many devotees of the demigods, not devotees. Devotion is only applied in connection with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And the worship of the demigod is more like a business transaction. I'm going to worship you so you can give me something. And this something is something temporary and material. The demigod worship, they are not devotee, but they are interested to get the reward from the demigods. Otherwise, they're not interested. So it's completely materialistic. If I get something for the demigod, I will worship him. If I don't, then I'm not going to bother with this demigod. I'll go to somebody else. And there's an interesting conversation here that was in 1977 from a room conversation on October 3rd in Vrindavan. Tamal Krishna Maharaj asked, do the Sinhalese take interest as much as the Tamils? And Hamsa says, yes, they do actually. Actually, the Tamils in Sri Lanka, they're all demigod worshippers. They worship Durga and Ganesh and Shiva. There's practically not a single Krishna temple on the whole island. I was really surprised. Well, that's the situation. They're all demigod worshippers. And Prabhupada says, demigod worship means followers of the Vedas. Because the Vedas have these flowery presentations about the necessity of worshiping demigods. And Krishna says that he is the one who is actually giving the demigods the power, and the worship to demigods is really worship to him, but in the wrong way. So there's, like I said, so many verses, and I'm going to read. This is from chapter the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, chapter 3, verse 10. And this addresses the point of asking for material benefits from the Supreme Lord. It's not like we have to go to the demigods. We can go directly to the Supreme Lord. It's a very, very famous verse. Akama sarva kamava moksha kama udara dihi tivrena bhakti yogena yajita purusham param. Because the difference between worshiping the demigods for material benefit and worshiping Krishna for a material benefit is huge. Krishna may want to give us the material benefit, but the fact is that this material benefit that Krishna is giving us is still purifying us from material conceptions, whereas the benefit from the demigods, and this is in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu explained at the very beginning. The demigods' benedictions may want us to pray for more and more benedictions. But the material benedictions that Krishna is giving us, fulfilling our material desires, is something that enables us to get what we're asking for, but in a way that is not going to be binding. It's just giving us satisfaction to be able to pursue and continue on our path of devotion. So let's see what the translation is. A person who has broader intelligence versus a person who has no intelligence, which is the one who's worshiping the demigods. The person who has broader intelligence, whether he be full of all material desire, without any material desire, or desiring liberation. Remember, the different grading of liberation means so many things. Must by all means worship the Supreme Whole, the personality of Godhead. So we want some material benediction. We can live without it. We don't go to the demigods. We address the Supreme Lord himself. Because here it says, a person who has broader intelligence knows whom to approach for that material benediction, which, if granted, will not be binding for the devotee. Purport. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna, is described in the Bhagavad Gita as Purushottama, the Supreme Personality. It is He only who can award liberation to the impersonalists. by absorbing such aspirants in the Brahma Jyoti, the bodily rays of the Lord. He is the only one who can give liberation. The person may be asking the demigods for liberation. Impossible. Demigods have no capacity to do that. They are not liberated themselves. It is the Supreme Lord who gives us liberation. If we are impersonal, is He the one who gives us benedictions in order to pursue our path of devotion. It is, the Brahma Jyoti is not separate from the Lord, as the glowing sun ray is not independent of the sun disk. Therefore, one who desires to merge into the supreme impersonal Brahma Jyoti must also worship the Lord by Bhakti Yoga. There must be a drop of Bhakti for it to be effective, as recommended here in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So we know the processes of jnana and karma. They can be successful only if there is a drop of Bhakti in them. So if a person is following the process of karma and there is a little bit of Bhakti in there, then the person will be successful. The same thing with jnana, because all of that is leading that person forward toward the process of Bhakti, pure Bhakti. Bhakti Yoga is especially stressed here as the means of all perfection. Whether we have all material desires, we have no material desires, or we desire liberation. Bhakti Yoga. In the previous chapters, it has been stated that Bhakti Yoga is the ultimate goal of both Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga. And in the same way, in this chapter, it is emphatically declared that Bhakti Yoga is the ultimate goal of the different varieties of worship of the different demigods. Bhakti Yoga, thus being the supreme means of self-realization, is recommended here. Again, this is Canto 2, Chapter 3, verse 10. Everyone must therefore seriously take up the methods of Bhakti Yoga, even though one aspires for material enjoyment or liberation from material bondage. One will be successful if he takes up the process of Bhakti Yoga to get what he wants. But this benediction is going to lead the person forward into further and further commitment to Bhakti Yoga. So now I'm going to read a few verses where Krishna very clearly explains the points that are being made here in the class, starting with verse 20 and the chapter 7. Those whose intelligence has been stolen by material desires surrender unto demigods and follow the particular rules and regulations of worship according to their own natures. I am in everyone's heart as the super soul. As soon as one desires to worship the demigod, some demigod, and make his faith steady so that he can devote himself to that particular deity. And why? Because why? Why does he make his faith steady? Because it is extremely important to focus on worshiping of someone. And the demigods are representatives of the Supreme Lord. So if one is focusing on one particular demigod, one is already starting the process of training so that he will be capable to connect with the process of Bhakti Yoga in due course of time. Endowed with such a faith, he endeavors to worship a particular demigod and obtains his desires. But in actuality, these benefits are bestowed by me alone. They are just acting as agents. It's Krishna, the one who is giving the power. Men of small intelligence worship the demigods, and their fruits are limited and temporary. Those who worship the demigods go to the planets of the demigods, but my devotees ultimately reach my supreme planet. So I'm going to go now to the understanding what is the position of the Supreme Lord. And what is he saying to us in the Bhagavad Gita? This text of the Bhagavad Gita is, so first of all, he is beautiful, is musical, It's called Bhagavad Gita, the Song of God. And Krishna is giving us the know-how, the understanding of what is what, who he is, who we are, what is material nature, what is karma, what is time. And as somebody explained in class, only karma is not eternal, but everything else is an eternal reality. So Krishna is telling us everything, is giving us all the secrets. So we're hearing it from God himself, the Supreme Person, who's telling us all these things. But not only he's instructing us and giving us knowledge, he's also encouraging us to follow this process. And he's making in the Bhagavad Gita so many promises. He is telling us, if you do this, this is what you are getting. And there is a section that is, if you put all these verses together, I don't know, I didn't count how many there are, but it's a very, very long list where Krishna is telling us exactly what the outcome will be if we follow his words. So I'm going to start with, I'm going to read a few verses. We don't have much time left. So a person, this is from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, verses 71 and 72. There are so many verses. 71. A person who has given up all desire for sense gratification. A person who has given up all desire for sense gratification. Who lives free from desires. Who has given up all sense of proprietorship and is devoid of false ego. He alone can attain real peace. So he's giving us the method. And verse 72 reads, Krishna says, that is the way of the spiritual and godly life, after attaining which a man is not bewildered. If one is thus situated, even at the hour of death, one can enter into the kingdom of God. That's the formula. Another verse, that's so many. Another verse that we know very well, I think. Just try to learn chapter 4, verse 34 and 35. Just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master, inquire from him submissively, and render service unto him. Krishna is telling us where to go. The self-realized soul can impart knowledge unto you because he has seen the truth of the spirit. The self-realized souls, in plural, can impart knowledge unto you because they have seen the truth. And look at verse 45. This is quite amazing. Having attained, it's the next verse, having attained real knowledge from a self-realized soul, you, all of us, will never fall again into such illusion. For by this knowledge you will see that all living beings are but part of the Supreme, or in other words, that they are mine. So once we get to accept the instruction of the spiritual master, we take initiation of the spiritual master, we follow his instructions. After that, having obtained that knowledge from this self-realized soul, we will never again fall into such illusion. Once we know what is the reality, who we are, what our duty is, what our situation is in this world, and then we have the method and the instruction manual on how to proceed, we will never fall again into such an illusion. In other words, once we know this, it's impossible not to realize what is happening. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Bhagavad Gita Shri jai, Shivavatam ki jai, Harinama Sankirtan ki jai, Bhakti Distribution ki jai, Prasad Distribution ki jai. Thank you.
Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Enam Kanvandam Maravindadalayatakam Varhavatam Samasitam Buddhasundarangam Kandar Agom Vikamaniya Vishesha Shobham Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Angani Yasa Sakale Priya Priti Manti Vasyanti Pan Vikayanti Chiram Naganti Ananda Chinmaya Sadhu Jala Vigrahasya Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami
Paramakaruna Paunvijana Nitai Gorachandra Paramakaruna Paunvijana Nitai Gorachandra Paramakaruna Paunvijana Nitai Gorachandra Paramakaruna Paundvijana Dai Gorachandra Sabha Avatara Saroshiramane Kevala Ananda Kanda Sabhavatara Saroshiramane Kevalananda Kanda Bhajo Bhajo Bai Chaitanya Nitai Surida Vishvasa Kori 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 Vishayacharya Sera Semajiya Mukke Bolo Hari Hari Vishayacharya Sera Mukke Bolo Hari Hari Deko Ore Bai Tribhuvane Nai Emana Dayala Datta Deko Ore Bai Tribhuvane Nai Emana Dayala Datta Deko Ore Bai Tribhuvane Nai Emana Dayala Datta Ore Bai Tribhuvane Nai Emana Dayala Datta Pashupake Jure Pashanavidare Shunigara Gunagata Pashupake Jure Pashanavidare Shuni Jara Gunagata Samsare Majia Rohili Puriya Sepade Nahila Washa Samsare Majia Rohili Puriya Sepade Samsare Majia Rohili Puriya Sepade Nahila Washa Samsare Majia Rohili Puriya Sepade Nahila Washa Apanakarama Bunjaye Samana Koho Yelo Chana Dasa Apanakarama Bunjaye Shamana Koho Yelo Chana Dasa Paramakaruna Poundwi Jana Nitai Gora Chandra Paramakaru